Hello, this is the vlog discussion on season 2 of Attack on Titan. So essentially, what I'm doing for each of the seasons, assuming I continue to love the series, what I'm doing for each of the seasons is one more cohesive video where after I complete a section of the story, I stop, look back, collect thoughts, and give a standard review for that section of the story. And then I do one video where I read a volume, watch a few the episodes that correspond with the volume, check in here with y'all, and talk about each plot point, each character moment, each line or clue that I think I'm finding, theorize, just kind of talk through the series exhaustively. So that's what this video is. Yesterday was the much more compact and reasonably sized video. So if you're more into that, that'll be in the description of this video. But if you like the very long, exhaustive discussion, here we are today. So that's what this video will be. So on to the discussion for Volume 9. Welcome to the Attack on Titan Season 2 volume by volume exhaustive video. So I've been staying out of the comments on my Attack on Titan videos a little bit more than I normally do, just because I'm really trying hard not to be spoiled, but I do have a friend who's been reading comments for me and giving me information that I need to have. So one thing that came up that I had written down about the Titans is that they could choose their own form. And apparently there were a few comments that came in that were like, where'd you get that idea? That's not a thing. And I was sure it was when she told me. I was like, no, I mean, it's there. It's in the text. And so I pulled it out and I went to the scene, which was the classroom scene when they were distributing all the information they had. It was like this big info dump of like, they're hot, they run hot, they have human male form. The majority of them have human male forms, but they're sexless beings. They can reproduce. We don't know how. Like that big classroom, here's the information we have seen. I was sure it was there. I don't know what I read wrong and how I got there, but it was not there. So thank you for telling me, because I was using that as a piece of information that I was using to kind of build my trying to sort out what the Titans are. So I'm glad to know that that was wrong so that I cannot go in the wrong directions. So anyway, I have read Volume 9 and watched the first 3 episodes of Season 2, and it's already so good. It's crazy. It's already so good. So this volume starts off with chaos, with the wall has been breached, Wall Rose has been breached, there are Titans coming in, we don't know why or where the breach is or what's going on. All we know is there's no time to collect our gear, there's no time for anything, we just need to move. So everybody bursts into action. Connie specifically says, I can lead you in that direction, but that's my village, so I'll lead you there, but then I need to check on my people. And Reiner and Bertolt go with him. Now this scene with the woolly mammoth Titan, the beast, was so fascinating, and I don't yet know what to do with it. So I don't know where he was going or what his plan was, what his intentions were. What I do know is that he seems to be a leader, because he can tell them, hey, wait, and then most of them will listen, and then the one that doesn't listen, he just squeezes to death, eyeballs popping out. It's terrible. And then they just continue to wait until he says, okay, yeah, go on now, and then they finish eating the poor fella. But also something that has been established is that the Titans that we've, other than the hybrid Titans, the Aarons and the Annies, the standard Titans that we have been interacting with up to this point, if they can speak, it's very fractured, it's very labored. It's like they can't say full sentences, and that's either because they're unable to, or if it's because certain information they can't get, they're not allowed to speak, or what the deal is. But he speaks very cohesively, full sentences, even when the sniffer guy, I don't remember his name, sorry, even when he isn't responding, the beast says, I thought we spoke the same language, but I guess you're too terrified to talk. So he seems to be a leader, and he seems to be highly intelligent. I also know that he said, he was like, so, oh, you're using swords, so you figured out you figured out that we're stored on the back of the neck. So he's confirmed one of the hybrids as well. He's a human that has learned to control his Titan form very well, far better than Eren has learned up to this point. Also, he says, he wants to know, what do you call that weapon? The one on your hips that you fly around with. And then when he doesn't get a response, he's like, all right, fine, I'm just going to take it then. And he's taking it back to somewhere. So either he's a leader and not the leader, and he's taking it back to the leader, or he is the leader for that person to see, or he's taking it back so that he himself can examine it. But what I can surmise from this interaction is, one, he's for sure human. Two, he seems to be in some sort of leadership role. But then also the fact that he doesn't know about their ODNs. The fact that he doesn't know about their ODNs has me thinking that he has been away from human society for a very long time. Far longer or longer than since those were invented, which I don't know at what point they started using ODNs. I don't know if that means that he was born outside of the rest of civilization, or if he's just like a bit older and like maybe he's Eren's dad or Annie's dad. But he said, as he was carrying it away, he said, my word, they really do think up interesting things. So very interesting. Very interesting. I love Sasha's dad. My goodness. His whole speech to her, living in this world is a privilege. Man's the kind of animal that lives in groups. If you only have so much space, folks that normally live different from the rest have got to join the group and live inside it. So that really goes along with some other things that we were talking about in the last video, themes of the fact that like humanity really just, we need each other. We need to band together, not live selfishly, not live independently, but to actually give of ourselves, sacrifice a little bit, and live for one another if we're going to survive. Those who won't do their duty won't get the benefits. It's only natural. That's how I see it. Even if we gotta lose our traditions, I want to live to see the future with my family. We gotta accept that the world's connected. And then he says that she has a cowardly streak, and that facing other people really shouldn't be that tough for her. So that speech, I think, really reinforces a lot of the themes. And then to have her dad talk about how we're connected, we need each other in order to survive, and then we turn the page, and what's the first thing we see? A child and her mother that's been left behind. People who her mother had bad legs, so she couldn't run, she couldn't go as easily, and so the village left them there, and all she could do, all this poor child could do, was just sit there, face the wall, not look directly at them as this Titan is eating her mother alive. And in the anime, it's so quiet. The whole scene is so quiet. But even though everybody else abandoned them, even though everybody else left them behind to die, because we need each other to survive in situations like this, Sasha picked up an axe and tried to protect them. It failed. She tried to get at the neck, but it didn't work so well. She lost the axe, and then they were vulnerable. So she grabbed the kid and ran. I'm sure the decision to leave her mom, I mean, she said sorry, she apologized, I'm so sorry, as she grabbed the child and ran. I'm sure the decision to leave that mom was not easy for her, but I would guess that the mom would also want that child to be safe. And the other option was not that. I loved these scenes for Sasha. These chapters, these episodes for Sasha were incredible, where she goes back, she protects the child, and then she tells her, get moving, someone is going to see you, it may take some time, but just run, someone will be there, there will be someone that will help. And then she stayed behind to try to get the Titans' eyes out so that it could buy them some time. And she realized, if I fail, if I run out of arrows, then I'm cooked, but also this child is not gonna survive. And so she ends up doing close combat. She ends up rushing him and jabbing his eye directly, and that leaves her caught for a second, but thankfully she's able to get free, and then she runs. And who does she see? her father. She sees her father on the road, and he's already caught up to the little girl, and he's rushing back to try to help whoever else has been left behind. And this line when he looks at her and he says, "Sasha, you've become a fine woman." That is so beautiful. Beautiful for these characters, beautiful for reinforcing these themes. And what great writing sequentially to have this theme that's already been introduced in the series, but really reinforced in an impactful way through Sasha's father's speech about, like, we need each other. We're not going to survive if we choose to be solitary like this. And then she chooses to be solitary, and when she returns, she sees someone who's been left behind and how they will not survive. So then she chooses to sacrifice of herself to protect them, and then she returns back home to her father, to the group, to what humanity actually needs. Like, it's such a beautiful sequence. Also, first of all, Armin, you're so smart. Like, immediately Armin is like, there's no cracks in this wall, there's no signs of building. These are Titan walls, aren't they? And then Hanji comes to the same deductions backed with evidence. So Armin's hunch was correct. So so lots of information here, and I don't know what to do with it yet. We know that the Titans run hot. We know that their bodies are, when they're active, when they're alive, when they're moving, if you touch them, it burns you. We know that they dissolve or disappear, evaporate, that they evaporate upon death. But if a hunk of them is chipped off, it hardens and stays. We also know that they, at least the hybrid Titans, are able to, like, diamond. They're able to harden parts of their body or their whole body at will. And somehow they're able to extend that sort of liquefied, but when it's detached from them, it hardens capability into being able to form walls. I feel like the answer is right there, but I don't have it yet. I don't know what to do with this information, but I do think that it's all important. Anyway, I am finding this priest really interesting as well, because so we know that there are Titans in the walls and that the walls are formed of Titans. And the way this was introduced to us is by saying Titans are protecting us from Titans. Then we have this priest who is in the know of this, but won't divulge the information because of some sort of higher power, higher calling, some sort of higher, some sort of belief that this information should be protected for some reason. Now, who made the walls? I don't know. For what reason? I don't know. But it does seem like it was for the sake of humanity. It does seem like it's Titans being used for the sake of protecting humanity rather than destroying it. So my inclination is that the Wallace are a part of or are subservient to a group that are using Titans for the greater good rather than for the greater destruction. One thing that he also reveals is that the greater information about how the walls were formed and why and all of that, as well as permission to be able to speak on it, because he doesn't have that. None of them have it except for one bloodline. They've kind of surrendered that to a bloodline, and that's who they are agreeing to trust to make these greater decisions. And it's Krista, which is super interesting because I like Krista. What? And she doesn't know. He said she doesn't know. She's living under a false name and she's unaware. I thought this scene too was really powerful when he has to actually look at the people who are displaced and the chaos and the pain that's being caused. Now let's talk about Krista, because I have so many thoughts around this whole situation too. So Krista is apparently the one in that she is the continuation of this bloodline that is apparently really important to the Wallace, that apparently has this information on who has been protecting humanity with the Titans. And she doesn't fully understand her situation because of some sort of safety risk that was placed on her at some point. Then we have Ymir, who is very protective of her and seems to want to stay by her side, seems to want to protect her, but also is like, no, I have my own agenda here. I have my own reasons. So I'm not sure if this is like a personal guard sort of situation where she is aware of Krista's bloodline and she's trying to protect her for the greater good or for the sake of this group of people who care about the bloodline that they've entrusted this information to. Like, if she is her personal guard, but she can't say so much because Krista isn't aware of her personal situation yet. But something that does stand out to me is that Ymir is the name that one Titan in that one side story, the one with the journal entry, that's what that Titan called her. So that Titan said, Ymir, well met, and then bowed low. And then when that person, whose name I've forgotten, the cadet that died, who is making the journal entries, when that person responded and asked questions, that Titan then like couldn't respond and like tore itself apart. It was very tormented over that. So to me, that basically confirms that these Titans are either human, even the ones that are not the hybrids, like Aaron and Annie. These Titans are either human or the remains of what once were humans. Because it's retained memories of Ymir and seems to think that this girl looks like Ymir, seems to think that that's her. And so it's trying to speak to her as if they have some sort of relationship. So I'm trying to piece all this together. So we have Krista, who is some sort of bloodline that has passed down the ability to distribute some sort of sacred information. We have Ymir, who is connected to this one Titan that remembers and seems to have some sort of respect for Ymir. So maybe she's not a guard. Maybe she's also a part of the bloodline or a part... No, because she's trying to protect Krista. I don't know. But seems to have great respect for Ymir. And then Krista is connected to the Wallace and to the secret, which I think I just said. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of information that I've been given that I don't fully understand, but is clearly very connected and holds a whole different kind of mystery, a whole different kind of section of this world and lore of this world that we haven't even tapped into up to this point. But it's also possible that all of that is connected to the castle that we're going to see at the end of this arc, because Ymir, I'm sorry if I'm saying her name wrong, it reads from a language that is not what everyone else is speaking from. Here, where she says, "This'll do. Herring isn't my favorite, but..." And then Reiner says, "Oh, really? Why do you know it's herring? Why can you read this?" I think that's what he says. Isn't that what he says? Yeah, this says herring on it. I'm surprised, Ymir. You can read these things. Okay, so this is like a language or some sort of code that apparently Reiner doesn't know. Apparently, it seems like it's foreign, which would fit along with the narrative of this bloodline, this lost bloodline, and this group of people that seem like this outcast weirdo group, but like there's some sort of like culture or something, like they're connected to something in this, and this castle that's way off on the outskirts seems to be connected to it all as well. Anyway, from there, because I'm still not done, from there, Connie then goes home. No one's there. There seems to be, even though the place is destroyed, there seems to be no struggle. There's no blood. There's no bodies. There's no, like, ball of bodies that have been eaten and then thrown back up, like what we saw in the last section. But we do see some Titans, specifically, and most egregiously, Connie's mom. More confirmation that these Titans are either humans or the remains of what once were humans. I don't yet know if these Titans are people that have been like Eren was injected by his dad, right? So these are either people that too somehow have been transformed. I don't imagine it's the same thing as what happened to Eren, because they're not manifesting into the same type of Titan. So they've been changed, or like maybe they've been killed and then reanimated into this other thing. And I don't know which one it is. Seems like they've been changed as the more likely option. But also, this town was empty. So it's not like some people were killed and some people were changed. It seems like the whole town was changed. Village. It's a village. It seems like the whole village was changed, which makes it feel more like it's something extremely intentional. Like someone, whoever it is that's in charge of making more Titans, came into this village and injected or did whatever needs to be done to turn them into Titans. And did that person have their trust? And so this person could do it covertly, like I assume Dr. Jaeger did as a doctor, or if it was done by force, but there was no sign of struggle, but things were still destroyed. The fact that Eren's mom was spawned as a Titan in a manner in which she couldn't walk or crawl, so she was just left there. But anyway, the reason I don't think that they died and then were turned Titan is because they retain their memories. Because that one that I keep referencing from that side story that thought it was speaking to Ymir, and then this one, Connie's mom, who deliberately tells him, and this is manga exclusive, deliberately tells him, welcome home. In the anime, I think she just like grunted or something, and he was like, that sounds like my mom's voice. But in the manga, she says, welcome home. More things, because I'm still not done. This is such a packed volume. Connie recognizes that looks like my mom, that sounds like my mom, what is going on? And both Reiner and Bertolt, or whatever his name is, seem to not want him to think about that. Like, they both, as he's processing, are like pulling him away. Not only are they pulling him away, but they seem to be like they're talking over him. He's saying, that sounded like my mom. And Reiner especially is interrupting him. He's like, hey, hurry up, we're gonna fall behind. And Connie is persistent. He's like, did you not hear that too? And Rainer's like, nope, didn't hear anything, keep moving, go. And Connie continues to push. It sounded like my mom. And so he screams over him, Connie, do you understand our situation? And so when I'm reading this at first, I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds like it's a little bit suspicious, but I guess it's possible that he is just like very shocked by what he's seen. And he's just like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to get out of here. This is very upsetting to me. But then as they leave, both Reiner and Bertolt look extremely suspicious. They both look like, oh no, he's catching on. Is that not what that looks like? Like, they both look like they're acting like, well, not Bertolt, it's Reiner, who's acting like, I don't, stop thinking about that, just move on, like stop. And then Bertolt and Reiner both look really nervous and are like looking at Connie like, are they trying to keep something, like, do they not want Connie to recognize that the Titans are in fact humans? Anyway, it's also interesting that they go along the wall all through the night, because the Titans are not mobile in the night because they need sunlight. They go along the wall to try to find the breach, to try to figure out like what has caused the Titans to be able to get in, and they can't find anything. So they're going at night, and that scene is excellent because of the fear of going in the night and not being able to see too clear ahead of them. And that's when they see the castle. And I'll note that Ymir too is being a jerk here when Connie is like, I just feel like that Titan really looks like my mom. And Reiner again is like, Connie, are you still going on about that? Are you stupid or something? So like, Rainer's a jerk. But then Ymir's doing the same thing where she's like, so your mom was a Titan? What about your dad? Was he a Titan too? Were you born Titan? Are you part Titan? Like, she's being a jerk. And I can't tell if everyone is just really traumatized and responding in crazy ways because like of a trauma response, or if everyone's gaslighting my boy Connie. Anyway, the Titans have arrived at the castle, and oh no, Even the Beast is here. Why are they at the castle? Why do they want to be here? Is this where they go at night? Is this typical for them? It was established in the last season that if too many humans crowd together, then the Titans can smell them and they're attracted to them. So it could just be that they could just sense that there were a lot of humans there and so they're coming to attack. Yeah, it could just be that. Anyway, what a volume. Absolutely love. What an excellent beginning. I mean, I'm speaking as if I'm talking exclusively anime. What an excellent beginning to season 2. Oh my goodness. The series is so good. Okay, bye. Hello. Volume 10 was another excellent volume and episodes going alongside of it. So in this one, they're still at the castle. The Titans have started coming and the Survey Corps are fighting on the outside while the rest are huddled inside. So first of all, I love the camaraderie in the Survey Corps, how they're kind of having this banter of, you know, we're gonna count how many we fell. You have to count that as an assist, and kind of making light of this horrible situation, because what are you gonna do? Like, you don't have a lot of options here. This scene, and again, I am still watching the anime first and then going along with the manga, which I am preferring a lot because this is such, first of all, an action-packed series, and so just seeing it in the anime is cool, but also it's such a complicated series, and it feels like there's a clue in nearly every line of dialogue. So being able to watch the story through and then come back and read it through slowly and analyze every sentence is far preferable for me. But anyway, in the anime, this scene where they realize that, you know, the door's broken in, they're actually coming in, and that power of the page turn where they're discussing what are the odds that a Titan is in here, when do we think we'll see one, and then you turn the page and there it is in the stairwell smiling at them. Horrifying. First of all, this flashback reminding Reiner of this history that they had, him, Bertolt, and one other friend, where they were attacked by a Titan, and his friend or brother or someone shoved him out of the way in order to protect him from the Titan, and then he himself was killed because of it. And remembering that scene, remembering that sacrifice that was made for him, how his life was saved, but also he had to watch his friend die. And then Bertolt comes in as Reiner is freezing up from the attack, and Bertolt comes in and offers help as well with the pitchfork. And then we see Reiner and Bertolt's past of being attacked, and they save each other. But then when Connie is in danger, Reiner does the same. Here it is. Connie is about to be attacked, and Reiner puts himself right in the way, just like what happened to him in the flashback, puts himself right in the way, ends up getting his arm chomped. And what does he do when he's vulnerable, being attacked by a Titan because he was protecting someone else? What does he do? He picks the Titan up on his shoulders and walks to the window to throw himself and the Titan out the window. I'm writing Reiner a formal letter of apology on the Discord. I'm just like, I'm sorry, you are good, like you are now one of my top characters. Actually, you are one of my people. I will protect you, I will love you. And I'm just like, team Reiner and Bertolt. I'm already a softie for people who have a really, really close bond. Like, I am a very character driven reader, but I also am very driven by inner character relationships, by loyalty. I'm very driven by loyalty, and seeing Bertolt display that loyalty in that moment with the Titan, but then also, seeing Reiner display that loyalty in that moment, but then also the fact that Reiner and Bertolt come from the same hometown, are always together, have this sort of bond. I'm just like, okay, like, I'm sold. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I really want to talk about the storytelling of this volume, and then we'll go back and look at some finer details and some potential clues. Then with Ymir, which I think I was saying Ymir before, which I think it's actually Ymir. With Ymir, we also got the flashback with her and her past with Historia, or Krista, as I've known her up to this point. And how Krista was dragging that guy through the tundra, and she was going to freeze to death. Ymir was going to freeze to death. The guy was it was a lost cause. And Ymir's instinct is leave the man. Like, it's not going to work out. either he dies or all three of us die, but we can save ourselves. And Krista refuses. She's like, I'm gonna push, and I'm going to see this through. So Ymir ended up throwing Krista down a hill and then turning Titan and carrying the man and saving him in Titan form. But before she did that, she said, I happened to get a chance to live a whole new life. I was reborn as a new person. But when that happened, I didn't hide my old name. Denying that I was born as Ymir would admit defeat. I'm keeping my name as I live this new life. Living this way is my way of getting revenge. I'm going to be living proof that your fate isn't decided at birth. So what about you? So it seems that the Titans, or the ones that can shift back and forth between human and Titan, view the moment that they turned Titan, however that may be, if it's some sort of injection like with Eren, or if it's some other method when they can shift the way that Ymir does. I don't quite understand, but it seems that they view that as a new birth. They view that as reborn, like this is a new life, which makes sense because of the way humanity views Titans, the distrust, you're our enemy inherently because of what you are. They have to hide that piece of themselves in order to be able to live among the rest of humanity, everyone but Eren, you know. But it seems that, and I could be misinterpreting the scene, but the way I'm taking this is that Ymir views her becoming a Titan as her new birth. Like, this is my new life, this is who I am now, but I'm choosing to do this my way. Fate isn't deciding who I am and how I move from here forward. I decide. And then when she made that declaration, she then secretly, covertly turned Titan, picked the guy up, and carried him down the mountain. She chose who she would be as a Titan, and who she chose to be is someone that works with humanity and not against it. So then we tie all that together. Oh, wait, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Then we have present day Ymir, who takes the knife and says, well, Krista, I'm the same way. I thought it would be better if I'd never been born. Okay, anyway, so she takes the knife, she hops off the roof, and she turns Titan, and she fights for the people. So that ties back into what that messaging was in that flashback, that she's choosing her fate. She's choosing who she's going to be as a Titan, and who she's going to be is one that defends. So that ties into that as well. Then we have these two separate yet parallel messages that are being told here, that of sacrifice, that of defending, and then we tie it together, showing that Ymir was the Titan that ate and killed, to kind of go together, the friend of Reiner and Bertolt way back when. So apparently when she first turned Titan, she was going by instinct, and she was killing and destroying and, you know, being Titan, but then she chose her own fate. But that ties in with their story as well in such a fascinating way. I say all this cohesively, retell all this together to illustrate, and I think I talked about just how cyclical and great the storytelling is in the last volume as well, but I'm just so in love with the storytelling of this series, because not only is it, you know, interesting and a cool plot, and the characters are good, and the mystery is interesting, big hype, crazy moments, like all the good things that make you interested in a story, but my literary heart is so in love with how well this is being told in that cyclical nature, in the way that the stories of these people are being tangled together, and one person's revelation immediately goes along with how the next character responds and how their character arc works together. I'm thinking back on Sasha and her dad, and how his lesson immediately tied into what her story ended up being, and then it brought it all back around full circle. And that's exactly what this volume is doing as well, with all of these things that I've just reiterated. I don't know if I'm expressing this well, but just from a literary perspective, this story is so well told. And I'm just enjoying not just the story, I'm enjoying the story, but the storytelling is extraordinary. Okay, now let me backtrack a little bit, and let's talk about some of the finer details and clues as well. still only halfway through talking about this volume, and now I'm going to go back to the beginning and talk about it some more. Okay, fascinating to me how fixated Bertolt and Reiner are about their hometown. It's brought up multiple times in this volume. I believe it's been brought up in other volumes as well. In this volume, we learn that they're from the same hometown as Annie, and because Titans seem to view the turning as their rebirth, as their new life, I wonder if this hometown is sort of like the Titan community that they lived in before they started trying to integrate stealthily into human society for the purposes of stealing Eren. Probably because he is Dr. Yeager's son, and Dr. Yeager is the one that is turning people. That's my suspicion. I don't know. It's not like a well-formed theory at this point. I also really found this interesting that Connie observed that the Titans coming in one wave and then coming again in a larger wave while they're here at this castle seems strategic. More than double the number that we just dealt with. This timing makes it feel like the Titans are conducting some sort of strategic operation, and it almost feels as if they've been toying with us from the start. So it's already very, very clear that Titans are intelligent and that they have a specific plan that they're trying to enact with trying to capture Eren and everything that's gone on up to this point. But it is interesting that, especially that this is all happening at night, right? Titans are supposed to be lethargic at night, which we saw with the Shoni and Bean experiments that, Bean lasted well into the night, didn't really get lethargic at night. So it is individualistic, but these are hordes of Titans that are coming in at night. And it seems like they've strategized this, intentionally tried to box them in, wear them down, and then come back for more in a greater wave. Just acknowledging it. I'll just real quick note that I also really loved this scene with the Survey Corps, even though I don't know their names and I'm not attached to any of them as characters. I just thought it was really well done. That camaraderie that they had, that they were trying to make a game of this horrible situation, fought so well. And then when the second wave came in, then they started dying, and I thought that the emphasis on this character in particular wanting one last drink of alcohol and then wasn't able to get it, I thought that all of that was really beautifully told as well. I also really, really loved Ymir's last words to Krista before she turns Titan and reveals who she is, and she just asked her to do this one wish of hers, which is to live your life with pride. And then she says, "Krista, I'm the same way. I thought it would have been better if I'd never been born. This world hated me for just existing. To bring happiness to many people, I died." Interesting. To bring happiness to people, you died? So you turning Titan, if I'm interpreting correctly, that the ones that can shift they consider when they surrendered, or it was surrendered for them, their complete humanity, they died, and then they were reborn into this sort of hybrid sort of thing. If I'm interpreting that correctly, and that is the way they view things, she turned into a shifter, a Titan shifting person. She turned into someone who can go back and forth between Titan and human to bring happiness to many people. Just holding on to that. But when I did, I wished for something from the bottom of my heart. If I could be born again, I wished so hard. If I could be born again, I wanted my life next. I wanted my next life. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. I wanted to live my next life for no one but myself. I wished so hard. And then we get this awesome spread of her coming down in her Titan form to fight for them. I don't know. I still have a lot to learn about Ymir before I can analyze her, but I just really, really love that she, for somehow, in some way, sacrificed herself. She died to bring happiness to many people. But in this new life, as a part Titan, in this new life, she wants to live exclusively for herself. And then what are her actions after she says that? Fighting for others. destroying Titans, attacking Titans for their sake, climbing up the wall, and then throwing herself back down to be harmed and potentially killed because she doesn't want the wall to break, because she wants to protect them. Jumping back up to the top of the wall and telling them to hang on to her so that she could topple the tower for their sake. Eventually getting eaten and badly wounded, even in human form. Doesn't look like she can recover. I'm sure she will. Why? For their sake. There's just something... It's going to hold a lot more meaning, I'm sure, when I understand Ymir better. But at this moment, there's something, again, distinctly beautiful in the storytelling that she says, in this new life, I'm living for me. But her actions show that she's still living for everyone else. I don't know. Maybe I'm misinterpreting everything, but I'm just really loving the storytelling. Okay, so also when Reiner and Bertolt are discussing the fact that Ymir is Titan, this is the dialogue that Reiner has. So that means she knew one of the greatest secrets in the world. I never even suspected it. She should have told us that she should have told us and contributed to the core, like Aaron. But maybe she didn't because she couldn't. So the greatest, she knew one of the greatest secrets in the world. That's the way they view the Titan secret. That's interesting to me. And then they say she should have given herself over to the core like Aaron did, but they didn't do that. So that's also interesting to me. I mean, I think regardless, if Ymir really is serving the Wallace, which I think I shared that theory in the last volume, which I don't know if it feels a little bit like it's not what's going on, but maybe if she is serving the Wallace as a Titan, or serving the organization that the Wallace, cooperate with, then she would certainly be on a different side than Reiner, Bertolt, and Annie, because they seem to be having a different goal. I don't know, I feel like I have a lot of half-formed thoughts, and I don't know if me rambling about them here is actually coherent enough that you can follow what I'm trying to theorize here. Oh, and also the fact that Ymir has this thought of, shucks, what did she say? I'm the same way. I thought it would have been better for me if I had never been born. And she talks about, oh yeah, the world hated me just for existing. What happens when she turns Titan and her very closest friend sees her Titan for the first time? She says, it can't be true. I don't want it to be. So, I mean, there it is. This is her closest friend in all of the world, and her initial guttural first reaction to it is, I don't want this. This is not what I want. And there's probably a lot of layers to that, but she's right. I mean, Ymir is proven right here that even the one that loves her the most, her first instinct, her first reaction is to reject this just on the basis of who she is, which is understandable. Like, there's a lot of history there, and there's a lot of history between humanity and the Titans, so understandable. And thankfully Krista doesn't lean into that, and instead she encourages Ymir to keep fighting and wants to tell her name, and all of that goodness. Connie, too, first reaction to seeing Ymir turn Titan is to call her a witch, say that she's an enemy of humanity, immediately start suspecting her. She's so unfazed by every situation. But thankfully, Krista realizes that she's trying to protect them, and yeah, like I said, starts egging her on, fighting for her. She does end up getting terribly injured, but then we get Mikasa coming in, Aaron coming in, everybody showing up to give them the last little bit that they need to survive this moment. And this scene, oh my goodness, this scene where she goes running up to her, holds her, and tells her, my name is Historia. And we can see Ymir smiling there. And I think probably there's layers to this that I don't understand. History between them, history of why Ymir cares so much about Krista keeping her name. I'm sure there's a lot more to be revealed that will make this scene a lot more meaningful, but at this moment I'm interpreting that smile as Ymir being happy that after she's revealed the side of her, the Titan side of her, that Krista still wants to tell her name, that Krista still wants her, still accepts her. Could be interpreting it wrong, but that's the way I'm taking it with the information I have right now. Oh, and then to add one more one more proof or layer to what Ymir was saying, that people hated her just because of what she is. Then we have Hanji coming in and talking to them, and Krista says we could use her, like she's helpful, she was helping us, she is on our side. And Hanji says, I'd like a friendly relationship with her regardless of the past. The information she has is a treasure trove for humanity. I'd like to get along with her, but while she may not be complicated, the state of this world might be too complex. I just think that line holds a lot of weight. I think that line holds a lot of significance to what this story, I hope, is leaning towards, which is something a lot more complicated than us versus them, and that tangling the us and then them together is going to be really complicated for humanity to accept because of the history we have, but they have to accept it if they're going to move forward. Again, could be off base, but boy. Okay, so back to, now we're at the biggest reveal. This is like the climax of the volume, and that's when Bertolt and Reiner finally turn Titan, and we realize that they have been betraying me all this time. I was rooting for you. Yeah, you guys just keep getting pulled further away from your hometown. We need to stop that here. And then Bertolt gets so excited. That's right, Reiner, our hometown. Let's go back. We can already go home. Compared to everything we've been through, it's just a little bit further. And Reiner says, oh yeah, we're really just a breath away, aren't we? What do you mean? What do you mean? So again, I think the hometown has got to be like where the Titans are, or where they were raised after they became someone who could be human and Titan. So what do you mean it's just a breath away? What do you mean we can already go home? I don't know. I'm just noting that I saw that line, but I do not understand it. Anyway, we got the reveal that there is no hole in the wall. They've been spawning inside the walls, which, you know, I think Connie's mom spawning as a Titan in a way where her arms and legs were unusable and she was on top of the house that she probably would have been in when she turned Titan. I think that was well evidence enough that they were being turned within the walls. But now it's confirmed. There is no breach in the wall. It's all coming from the inside. And then this scene was so good, where Reiner's like, all right, Eren, I need to talk to you. And then he just outright says it. He's just like, 5 years ago, we destroyed the wall and began our attack on humanity. I'm the armored Titan. He's the Colossus Titan. Oh, dummy. I just said Reiner was the colossal Titan way back there. He's not. He's the armored Titan. Anyway. Oh my goodness. This was so good. The fact that he just outright says it. He's just like, here you go, here's the big reveal, just handed to you, and I didn't suspect it anymore. I mean, I did because there were clues, but I didn't anymore because I became attached to the character, and therefore I had no suspicion of them. What a good detective I am. And he just says it. He's just like, here I am. This is what it is. Please come back. Come with us. Our goal was to wipe out all of humanity, but now there's no need to do that anymore. If you come with us, we won't need to destroy any more of the walls. What do you mean? What do you mean? Your goal was to wipe out all of humanity, but now that they have Eren as an option, if he'll go back with them, then they can let humanity live? What do you mean? What could your goal have been? That you wanted to kill everyone, but now because of Eren, you don't. What is it that you want from Eren? What is it about Eren that makes him good enough? A good enough exchange for all of humanity? Like, it sounds like wiping out humanity was some sort of revenge for some reason. Why is Eren a worthy exchange for destroying every human? Like, what do you mean? Anyway, they had already deduced that it was them. Everybody's a better detective than me, especially Armin. Another line that Reiner said that was really fascinating. I've probably been here for too long. I've lived here for 3 years, surrounded by idiots. We were just kids. We didn't know anything. If only we never heard that these bastards existed. I don't know what's right anymore, but I do know that I have to face the consequences of my actions and carry out my duty as a warrior to the end. Reiner, I just need you to talk to me a little bit more. What is going on? Like, what was your mission? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. Like, what? Listen, Reiner, I don't know how to interpret this. I don't know what I don't know what that means. I'm so intrigued. I'm so fascinated, but I have nothing. I have nothing. I have no idea. Anyway, they do turn Titan, and it was a fantastic scene. In the anime, it seemed that something came from the sky and embedded in them, and then they turned Titan. So this was the first scene where I noticed that. I don't know if that's been happening with Eren. I don't know if that happened with Ymir, but in this scene, it looked like some power source came from the sky and came to them, and that's how they turned Titan. Maybe it was just something that was really theatrical and it means nothing, but I'm intrigued. But I'm very, very intrigued by why. I'm just asking a lot of why right now. I haven't really formed any solid new theories. I'm just kind of like that. So, on to the next volume. Hello. So I have read volume 11 and watched the watched the episodes that go along with it. So I will go through the first half of this volume quickly because it's a fight and so it can go a little bit faster, but then I'm going to slow down a lot for the second half. Hopefully this clip won't be as long as the last one though. Okay, so we're fighting and the armored Titan is eating up people. So my first thought when I saw this was, oh, he's just storing them in his mouth. No problem. This is essentially what Annie did to Eren. They're not murderous. And do you know why that is? Just because I like them. Just because I can't shake it. I still like Reiner and Bertolt. Now, as far as I understand what happened here, Ymir was stored in his mouth, but the other one did get eaten, and then he stole their rappel gear. Some really interesting fight tactics happened in this. Bertolt specifically kept steaming the cadets so they couldn't get close to him because he was burning them with his hot steam. The armored Titan is incredibly strong and Eren couldn't take him down. I really love the added detail of looking back at Eren and Reiner's relationship up to this point. Looking back at the time when they sparred together and they fought together and how Reiner was holding back. And so Eren went into this fight thinking that he knew what he needed to do, thinking he knew what the limits to the fight would be, and being wrong. He was very ill prepared, and around every corner he was taking hits, and it was Reiner that was on top with this whole fight sequence. We also got a flashback to Annie, and in the hand-to-hand combat scenes that they had, we got to see more of Annie teaching them how to fight, showing them some things, and we actually got to see Eren implement what he learned from Annie to fight against Reiner, which I thought was a really nice detail. But I also noticed when Annie, when Mikasa said, yeah, I'd like to learn what you're teaching, and Annie says, I don't know, these techniques are for humans. I don't think you'd have any use for them, but I am interested to see if they work on Beast. So, putting my tinfoil hat on once again, I do think that it is possible that she's being hyperbolic. It is possible that she's just saying, Mikasa is a beast of a fighter. She's very strong. She's very skilled. She does a very good job, and she is a beast. It's a term that's used. It's fine, but also I'm still looking at Mikasa and that scene back in volume 2 when she grasped the knife and it splintered and then she fractured the floorboards. I'm still thinking about that, and I'm still looking at scenes like this and wondering, what do you know, Annie? Because Annie is a part of some sort of plot. She too tried to get Eren and take him somewhere to someone. She comes from the same hometown as Reiner and Bertolt. So I think she knows stuff. I think it's clear that Titans like Ymir and Reiner and Bertolt and Annie know a lot more about being Titan than Eren does. And I don't know what's going on with Mikasa, but I think they know more about what's going on with her too. Assuming there is something going on with her and I'm not just making stuff up. Oh, another thing that I noticed that again could just be anime stuff, or it could be something, is during this fight, Eren started to seemingly drip. It looked like whatever it is that the Titans turn into. So the Titans are humans. Or at least these types of Titans. I think they're all humans, or the remains of what once were humans. But then you have the ones that can go back and forth. And when they do, we can see whatever it is essentially wrapping around them and like forming itself, creating itself. And just the same, when Bertolt launches himself over the edge of the wall, he can dissolve and turn human again and start running. And they're hot to touch. They can implement steam. It looked like Aaron was dripping as if he was made of some sort of material. They look as if they're muscular in appearance. But the fact that they can form and dissipate and now drip has me thinking that there's some sort of material, but something that when they're hot and when they're... What is it that made him start dripping, though? He was essentially being ripped apart, it looks like, in this fight. When I was watching the anime, I was just, my brain was just going, cool, big Titan fight. And in the manga, I'm noticing these smaller details, so maybe I need to rewatch that fight. It looks like Reiner is beating him so badly that whatever he's made of is decomposing. It's ripping apart. It's tearing apart. So I don't know if when they look muscular, that's them in their fully formed state. And when they're tearing apart, the material changes slightly. I feel like this is really stupid. But the fact that they are a part of the walls, the fact that they made the walls out of Titan material, and the fact that they're hot and that they disappear when the Titans die, but if a piece of the Titan chips off, then they can keep a piece of that material of the Titan, has me thinking that when it is actively being used, it has a different type of matter. Sorry, my phone vibrated. It has a different type of matter than if it's complete. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't even understand what I'm saying. It seems like when it's forming and being torn apart, it's more, not liquid, but more like moldable material. And the fact that a wall can be made of it and it can be just this flat material, I think reinforces that idea in me. But when it's in its form, it's hard and it maintains its form until they decide to disengage, and then it disappears, which would make it more on the liquid side of things. But what kind of material would be liquid when actively being used, and hardened when it's, liquid when it's forming and deforming, but hardened? I need to think on this more. I said I would get through this part quickly. I have 10 minutes to get through the rest of this. We should be done in 10 minutes, I would hope. Anyway, Aaron seems to be wrestling him well. Aaron seems to be doing a good job of it, and he's gonna rip Reiner's head off, which is very rude of him. I still have mixed feelings about Reiner, and I'm not ready for him to die, but thankfully, Bertolt, as I've already stated, falls off the wall, jumps off the wall, throws himself off the wall, and falls on them. And what he does is he takes the repel gear. I know that's not what it's called. I don't know why I can't think of what it's called right now. The vertical maneuvering gear. Of course. He took the vertical maneuvering gear of the person that he ate. So the steam off of Bertolt when he fell and disappeared and disintegrated, the steam off of him held everyone else back. But Reiner was able to withstand it. And Bertolt took the vertical maneuvering gear that he took from the person he ate and grabbed Aaron, Reiner bit Eren out of Eren's tighten neck. They grabbed Eren and they went off with Eren and Ymir. Something I'm going to point out here is this conversation between Mikasa and Armin. I don't know how to interpret this right now, but it feels important, so I'm just going to talk about it as a marker of my interest and something that I want to revisit because I think it'll hold more meaning later on. But Armin says, Armin's checking in on Mikasa, and Mikasa says, when Annie kidnapped Eren, I could go right after her and fight her with Levi, and eventually I got him back. If 5 hours have already passed, and then she kind of trails off and she says, hey Armin, why is it that Eren always gets so far from us? When you put it, Armin says, when you put it that way, Eren has always been running off on his own and leaving us behind. Whether it's of his own will or not, he always does it. I guess that's just his destiny. And Mikasa says, she wraps the scarf around her and says, all I want is to be close to him. So I feel like this is foreshadowing something that's to come, or it's some sort of theme that's going to be deepened later on. I think it's a scene that will become more meaningful to me with more context. So I'm just leaving it here to return to later. But I loved this scene here. I liked those days. If Eren were here, he might call them a false peace. But being a good-for-nothing, drunk soldier was enough for me. I'd do anything to get those quiet, dull days back, no matter how long it takes. I'm coming too, because as long as you three aren't together, I'll never get those days back. And then you see them sharing a meal together and hardening their resolve. I thought this was a really beautiful moment between these characters, and just showing the loyalty as well as how important these people in Eren's life are to kind of hold things together, to be able to accomplish what they want to accomplish, how important they are in Eren being able to go where he needs to go in order to save humanity. Oh my goodness, this scene was so relatable. Connie at one point said, I won't believe that Reiner and Bertolt are our enemies until I hear it straight from their own mouths. Connie, I feel it. I feel you, man. Same. I too have bonded with them, and I just am having a really hard time accepting that they're the baddies. But they did go ahead and kidnap Eren and Ymir, and they ripped off their arms and they ripped off their legs. Bit of a whoopsie. When Reiner was biting them out of their Titan form, he got a little bit sloppy. This scene was so fascinating when Reiner once again went into just speaking nonsense, which he did in the last volume too. But this time he's talking, before he started going into nonsense, he said, he was talking about how they had to wait till night to get around these Titans that are waiting at the base of the tree that they're hiding out in. And I'm thinking, no, they don't. We've established that many Titans become more lethargic when sun goes down, but we've also clearly established that many don't. And Ymir calls that out too. She says, wait, those Titans at the castle were moving around fine at night, you know. What about the ones here? And Reiner says, the Titans here can't move at night. I think you already know that, Ymir. Why? Why does she already know that? Obviously, Ymir, Reiner, Bertolt, Annie, obviously they all have more control over their Titan abilities than Eren does. They obviously all know more about the Titans than Eren and Mikasa and all the other characters that I'm following closely do. I sincerely believe that their hometown is where they lived as Titans. I think it was with the Beast Titan. But I think that scene was very important of him pointing out that Ymir knows this group understands certain inconsistencies and patterns that I haven't figured out yet. Anyway, Bertolt starts speaking nonsense again. He's like, I'm going to be promoted. I'm not expecting to be captain, but I'm obviously going to get a promotion. And he just kind of starts rambling on. And I'm sorry, Reiner does. And Bertolt explains that this is an episode that he kind of goes through because he's been living this secret life as a cadet when actually he's not a soldier, he's a warrior. And this is something that keeps being repeated in him. He gets his threads tangled. He gets his identities that he's been living out tangled. This could just be somewhat, like actors in Hollywood sometimes lose themselves because they launch themselves so wholly into a role that they take on the person that they're acting, and then it gets too tangled, and they have to untangle it, and it can like cause real psychosis issues with certain actors or with certain roles that are played. So this could be that, or it could be a symptom of turning Titan too many times, because Eren seems to be going through some sort of mental breakdown as well. At times when he comes out of his Titan form, his eyes go crazy and he gets like extra violent and extra like, I gotta kill them all kind of way. He had that nosebleed that one time, so I don't know. I feel like shifting back and forth affects them. Oh, I also thought the scene was really, really good when Eren calls Bertolt out and he's like, y'all were there when I was talking about my mom. Y'all were there when I told you what happened to me. You seemed sympathetic at the time. Was it a lie? And Bertolt says, back then, I felt very sorry for you. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with this information. It's been confirmed for me that the reason Reiner is inconsistent, how he saves Bonnie 1 second and then tries to kill all of humanity the next second, is because of this tangling of identities, tangling of mental identities that he's going through with pretending to be a soldier, but he's actually a warrior. That makes sense to me, but I can't tell if I'm picking up clues that they're not strictly evil, or if I'm just a chump. I think I'm just a chump. I feel so betrayed. This sucks. Anyway, this scene was amazing when Eren just screams at them. You're not soldiers, you're not warriors, you're just murderers. You massacred people who'd done nothing wrong. You're mass murderers. And Reiner says, I know that. I don't need you to tell me. And Eren says, then stop acting like responsible citizens worried about the state of the world. You two aren't even human anymore. You're the ones who turn this world into a living hell. Don't you see that, you murderers? So what do you want these murderers to do? You want us to repent? Do you want us to apologize? Are you really going to preach to a couple of cold-blooded murderers murderers about how killing is wrong? Will that satisfy you? The Reiner and Bertolt are gone. And if all you want to do is cry about it, then go ahead. Keep crying. I don't know. They seem tortured by what they're doing. Maybe. I need to watch this scene in the anime. I haven't watched this scene in the anime because it's in the next episode, but the next episode extends beyond this volume. So I need to check in on this volume before I watch the next episode. Anyway, the ape shows up, the beast shows up, and it's acknowledged that the last time he did, they both had crazy eyes. Your eyes were beaming like you were kids when you saw that ape earlier. That ape, the beast titan, is the cause of this recent mess. It was what made the Titans appear inside the walls. Maybe it was testing our strength. You two are trying to get to it, because if you do, you'll be able to go back to your hometown, right? How did you deduce that? How could you possibly know? Is it because, this is Ymir that was delivering those lines, is it because you two are from the same hometown they are, and so you know that they're trying to get back to where, I think the ape is their leader. So the ape is, wherever he is where the other, like where they've been living since they turned into this in-between. Anyway, they had a common goal, Reiner and Ymir, and that common goal is Krista. So, is Ymir going to team up with them now to protect Krista? I have so many questions. I don't feel like I've learned anything new, but I do have many more questions. I only have one more volume. It's sad that I have like half the volumes in this chunk, and the video is going to be just as long. Good thing I make a short version of these, right? And we are finally at the discussion for volume 12. So this is the final volume for this section. I feel surprised that there were so few answers given in this section, so many more questions, like so much more broadening of everything within this world. and so many more elements introduced that deepened everything, but I'm left with more questions and so few answers. So I'll go through volume 12 and then we will end the video on some theories about what I am expecting or hoping to see in season 3. So I appreciated the resolution to the conflict between Reiner, Bertolt, and Ymir, that Ymir was the one that ate their friend 5 years ago, and when Bertolt asked her if you remember, and she said, no, I don't. And Bertolt's response was, Aaron doesn't seem to remember either. I guess that's just the way it works. And then he tells her that he doesn't hold it against her. He says, I'm sure you didn't want to eat anyone either. Just how long were you wandering around outside the walls? And she said 60 years. So already with the Beast Titan and the fact that the Beast Titan, you know, looks old. The Beast Titan, I think he looks prehistoric, which could mean nothing, but also the fact that he is wondering, am I even speaking the right language? I thought we spoke the same language, and looking at their ODM gear and saying, what interesting things you humans come up with, and oh, you use swords, you must know we're in the back of the neck then. So showing that there is a Titan who's established and seems to hold some sort of leadership among them that is pre-humanity's inventions to combat Titans, or extremely sheltered. So sheltered, in fact, that he would have no idea about the ODM gear. Or maybe both. But now that Ymir also has said that she was wandering around outside of the walls for 60 years. And I mean, she looks to be 17, 18. She looks to be the same age as the rest of these kids. So she could be 20, but she doesn't look, 70, 75. So Ymir did speak multiple times in this section of the story about this idea of a rebirth or a new life. And the way that I've taken it up to this point is that she considers the point of her turning Titan, or turning into someone who can shift back and forth, as her death, and then her new life as a shifter is her rebirth. This is her new life. So I wonder if when they are reborn, quote unquote, they stop aging. Like, are Bertolt and Reiner ever going to look beyond 17? Is Aaron ever going to look older than he does today? He appeared younger when he was injected. In the flashbacks, it looks like he's maybe grown a couple inches. So maybe there's a little bit of changing, but maybe it's just an extremely decreased aging. Or maybe Ymir just has a really good skincare routine. But I am wondering if at the very least, the shifters, as long as they aren't killed, I'm wondering if they don't age, or at the very least don't age in the same way that they would were they still completely human. Quick shout out, just want to give a quick shout out to Connie, because I love this scene when Ymir is coming in to find Krista and everyone's about to attack her, and Connie's like, hold on, let's ask some questions first. That's Ymir, I recognize her, I at least have relationship with her and would like, ask questions first, shoot after. She does end up, kidnapping Krista, which is a bit of a bumski, but this kidnap is what gives me what I think is the funniest scene in the whole series so far, and I don't know, might be the funniest scene forever. After Ymir spits Krista back out, and Krista's covered in saliva, it's really cute, Ymir tells her, or is trying to convince her, just come outside of the walls with me. No one's going to hate you because of the way you were born. No one's going to reject you by merit of just being you. You'll be happier there. We'll be happier there. And Krista says, yeah, I wouldn't expect the Titans to tell me something like that. They'd be too busy trying to eat me. And Ymir says, we all have our shortcomings, right? We're not so bad if you could just ignore that stuff. Me and my friends do occasionally kill people, but we all have our flaws. Just get over it. We're cool other than that. I just think that is the funniest rationing between two people. Everybody has their shortcomings. Sometimes we occasionally, slaughter an entire city. Everybody has their hobbies. Anyway, Ymir does have, I do think that she elected to become Titan. I don't know about Bertolt and Reiner. I did watch the OVAs 1 through 6 or 7 through Annie's OVA, and I really suspect that the majority of these children turned weapons of war, that this is not something that they wanted for their lives, or at the very least, you know, might have been 10, 11, 12 and saying, yeah, I'll help humanity, or I'll help this cause, and having no idea what they were agreeing to. But it does appear that Ymir elected to do this. There was a line a bit ago where she said that she chose this new life, or chose this rebirth. I don't remember, but I said it earlier in the vlog. That she is this way for the sake of people, like for the sake of others. I don't remember the exact quote now, but it seemed like a choice. And then here she says, a long time ago, I stole the Titan power from one of their people. Their power is absolute. Inside or outside the walls, there's nowhere for me to run. So, I mean, it could have been an accident. She could have stolen some medicine from Dr. Jaeger or someone else who's distributing these shots and thought it was something else and injected herself and then became a Titan. Or she could have known exactly what she was doing and she turned Titan, or as much as you can know what you're doing when you're a child. She could have known exactly what she was doing and injected herself and, you know, chosen this life because of the life she was living previous. I don't know if she did this before or after her flashback. I don't know. I don't know anything. But it does seem potentially like, at least for Ymir, becoming a shifter was ultimately her choice. Maybe one that she regrets, maybe not. Another thing that I want to note that I'm not entirely sure what to do with yet, even though Ymir, consistent with her character, is saying, I'm abducting you because I'm, you know, I have a target on my back, having stolen the Titan serum, so I need to turn you in to absolve myself, right? So even though she's saying that to Krista, clearly she cares about Krista. Clearly she's willing to sacrifice herself for her over and over again. She's willing to reveal that she's a Titan so that Krista can survive. Like, she cares about Krista, obviously. But she's saying, I have to take you so that I can continue living. And Krista says, no matter what, I'm on your side. Krista and Ymir both are extremely loyal to each other, and I think Krista can tell that Ymir's words are different from her actions, and her actions can be trusted more so than her words. Anyway, all that preamble out of the way, she does tell Krista, I'm choosing this. I'm choosing to turn you in to absolve myself, so please help me. And so I guess she's asking Krista for her consent to be kidnapped. It's a funny sentence. And maybe that's because she, in her heart, knows that regardless of what I say, I will do what's right for you. So I need to know that if you tell me that you want to go back behind the walls, then I'm going to let you do that. I don't know how to read that scene, but she said it. And then there was also a scene where Bertolt was crying out for help too. It was after all the cadets were swarming the Titans and swarming the armored Titan, and Bertolt and Eren was tied to Bertolt's back, and Mikasa came and she was like, I'm gonna get Eren regardless of what it takes. All the cadets came and they were saying, please, Bertolt, like, I remember the way you slept. I remember the sleeping position you had that was odd. I remember this time that we got in our cadet training, like, appealing to his humanity. I can't believe that all this time we lived life alongside of you, and all this time you were deceiving us. Was it all a lie? And he's saying, no, it wasn't a lie, but I also had to do this, right? So during all of this, Bertolt screams out, what kind of person would do this for fun? Who would want to do this? With what we did, of course you despise us and want to kill us. We can never take any of it back. But we could not come to terms with our sins. When we were pretending to be soldiers, it was a little bit easier. It's not a lie, Connie, Jean. It's true that we deceived you, but it wasn't all lies. We really did think of you as friends. I know we don't have a right to apologize, but someone, please someone, I'm begging you, someone find us. So is he telling them no, it wasn't a lie. I actually do care about you, but I still had to go about doing this mission for whatever reason. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't even deserve to offer you an apology. But even though I'm undeserving, even though I've caused all this harm and pain and death and suffering, please, when I leave, when I run away, keep chasing me. Like, don't give up on me. Is he saying I don't deserve you giving me another chance, but don't let me go back there alone? Is that what he's saying? Because I know that Reiner and Bertolt and Ymir are going to go back to Reiner and Bertolt's hometown. So are they asking the cadets to go after them and to find them there and to rescue them ultimately? Like, they don't have a choice. They have to return home. But like, why was he crying for help here? He just said, I don't even have the right to apologize to you, but please come find us. I know you can't answer me, but I don't know what to do with that. Anyway, I did just mention the scene where Annie, not Annie, her name is Mikasa, rushes in and, the armored titan is running away. Bertolt has Eren on his back and the cadets are pleading with them, and then Armin is like, oh, you didn't know we captured Annie? Oh yeah, she's super captured. She's actually screaming right now in pain and agony. We're totally torturing her. That's not the delivery. It was very clever of him actually to appeal to Bertolt's humanity, and then when that doesn't work, remember, I have observed that you are very interested in Annie, so now let me tell you that you're leaving her behind. You cool with that, bro? Like, it's clever. He's being very clever here. But Mikasa, I wanted to say this, and I don't know what common thought is on this. Not that it would matter. I'm giving you my thoughts. But I apologize if this is not if this is not a commonly held opinion, but I do prefer the anime over the manga, though I love the manga and I'm enjoying so much going through both side by side. But it's very action-paced, a very action-packed series. I think the action is depicted brilliantly in the anime, and I just really like watching it all in action. I think the voice acting is incredible in the sub, and the music, the score, oh my goodness, it amplifies every scene. I just am loving the anime so much. I love manga Mikasa, but I do think that she is so much weaker in the anime, and I think it's because in the manga, when she comes in to any given scene looking so strong, pushing down her emotions and just getting done what needs done, and looking out for the one who protected her way back when, who gave her a home, who gave her a family, and who has been by her side her whole life, and she's like, he is in a desperate situation and I will be there, right? Like, she seems so cool. But in the anime, because she says his name constantly, like, it's like, Eren, 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 I gotta get back Eren. I don't care what you're saying, Eren. Like, it's just, it's not like that in the manga. And because she does it so much, she comes off obsessive and desperate to me. And there are scenes that I watch in the anime and I like, she grates on me a little bit in certain scenes, not all the scenes, but in certain scenes when she's just like saying his name constantly and coming off, she grates on me. And then I read the manga version and I'm like, no, she's just cool. So that's very opinion based. That's not me trying to observe something or analyze something. It's just, I guess it's just me expressing a preference. Oh shucks, I forgot to say this. Okay, so when we were talking about Bertolt and how he was saying, we committed these atrocities, we can deal with it, so we just like sectioned off that piece of our brain, and we're truly your friends, we truly cared about you, and we don't deserve an apology. But then he goes on to say, after Mikasa tells him to give Eren back, and he says, I can't do that. Someone has to do this. Someone has to get this blood on their hands. Why, though? Your goal previously was to destroy all of humanity. Somehow, having Eren means that no longer has to be your goal. Now, it seems to be because, I think it's very clearly stated in the manga, and I'm sure in the anime too, but I caught it when I was reading the manga. It's outright stated, we gotta get Eren. but we need to get Krista too, just in case Eren isn't actually the control. We need to have her as backup because she knows the secrets behind the walls. So, why are they trying to destroy humanity? If the goal isn't absolute destruction for destruction's sake, and having a control or a secret keeper is good enough, and then they don't need to try to destroy humanity anymore, then I have to assume that the actual goal is something very different from what I have thought up to this point. So if their desire is to get someone who can control the Titans by will, then the Beast did display to us that he has some form of command over the Titans, because he told them all to stop attacking that human, and they almost all stopped, but they didn't all stop. So he doesn't have absolute control. So they might want to control so that they can more effectively use the Titans for whatever it is their ultimate goal is, which apparently isn't exclusively the destruction of all humanity. Otherwise, they would continue to pursue that goal even after capturing Eren. They would just use Eren's control powers to destroy humanity harder and faster and better. Eren not being, if it fails, if it turns out that Eren's not the control, and Krista would be a good enough substitute. Sorry, I didn't realize leaning back would change the exposure. If Eren is not actually the control, and Krista is a good enough and acceptable substitute, then that means that their ultimate goal has to do with the wall. Are they trying to get... But they destroyed the wall when they were trying to infiltrate, and when they get in, they don't try to get inside. It's not like they're trying to get to the Titans inside the wall. It's not like they get inside and then they're trying to tear the wall apart. They get inside and then they just start eating humans. But why? I don't know. Okay, move on. Oh, okay, so I talked about this in the review. I'm filming this last vlog clip after I filmed the review. I talked about this in the review, but I'll just remind you once again that Captain Erwin is awesome. I've liked several of his lines in season 1, and he's cool, but that scene won me over. Still Team Levi, but Captain Erwin, that was awesome. Okay, so then this manga, this section of the story concludes with us having to face off against the very same Titan that once ate Eren's mother. So this was a great scene for many reasons. Again, getting back into my very nerdy love of just great storytelling. I love that we are about at the halfway point of the story. Maybe that's not true, even though I'm halfway through seasonally. I think seasons 3 and 4 are significantly longer. So, but anyway, we're at a near halfway point of the story, and only at that point do we reface the same threat that began everything in this story. And as we are facing this threat again, we have the same characters once again. We have Eren and Mikasa, who have just been in battle. Eren can't transform right now. He still isn't fully healed. And so they're both weak and vulnerable in this moment. And we also have Hans there right in front of them. I will say, him blocking the Titan hit, like there was a scene, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, there was a scene where the Titan tried to slap them, and Hans was just like, no problem, I'll block that with my body and not move an inch. That was a little bit silly, but Hans protected them and then stood in front of the Titan that he failed to stand in front of. But he rushed forward in the beginning of the series, rushed forward to face off against the Titan, and was afraid and fell back and just took the kids and ran. And then the next time he saw Eren, 5 years later, or however many years later, the next time he saw Eren, he said, I don't know if this is an inappropriate time, but I'm still haunted by that. I'm still regretful for failing that day to save your mother. And so it's something that's haunted him. It's something that he's held with him. And now, today, he gets to face her again. He gets to face this threat again. And this time, he stands his ground. This time, he faces the Titan correctly. And I know this is going to sound bad the way I say it, but I'm really glad he died, because it would be easy to have him face that threat and then succeed in taking down the Titan. But his success in this moment was actually the character evolution of actually being able to face her. And it's devastating that he died there, and it's devastating that once again Eren and Mikasa were forced to face the exact same scenario and watch in the exact same way as that same Titan killed the person trying to help them be able to get away. That's terrible. But from a literary sense, like from a storytelling sense, it's perfect to have us at the near halfway point replay the entire scene, even replay the same framing as this person, as they watch this person die at the Titan's hands, and be brought back to that same low point of realizing how insurmountable this threat is, how impossible this situation is, how useless and worthless Eren feels, and be reminded all over, not succeed, not have a even a small victory in this war that seems never ending, but another failure, bringing them back to the reality that this threat is bigger than them, and they cannot win outside of either extraordinary or very creative circumstances. Man, I just thought it was so well told, and with all the chaos happening around them too, Titans coming in from behind, soldiers falling, and everything just felt so desperate in that scene. Okay, here comes my complaint. So this I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna catch some flack for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I didn't like Mikasa's role in this, and I do really like her character. I know that I've complained about her twice in a row now, and that's very rude of me. I do sincerely love her character, but I did not like her role in that fight. It just felt like, I'm totally cool with Eren being brought to his lowest point and feeling like an utter failure, completely useless, and realizing that even after everything he's been through, he still can't save people when he wants to. And Mikasa telling him, the world may feel like it's blowing up, but at least on a personal level, at least in one way, you have succeeded to the grandest amount. You saved my life. You saved my life, and then you gave me a home, and then you gave me family. You saved me. You're the reason I'm still going today, and I'm still fighting today. So yes, everything feels impossible right now, and yes, we're mourning and it's terrible, and I don't know how we're going to survive this war, but you do have influence. You do matter. Like that whole speech of her relating back to him and telling him, like, you wrapped this scarf around me. You were influential in my life. I'm cool with all of that. But in that moment, it super didn't work for me, because, I mean, like, literally Hans is still being chomped on above your head. Like, you just watched someone die for you. There's Titans coming in from behind your friends. You have Armin, who is holding on to Jean, who can't stand anymore, and Armin's just kind of like flailing the sword because this is not his strong suit. Like, people could use your help right now, and I get it. She's trying to help Eren, the one that she cares about the most. But this whole speech went on, and I'm just thinking, like, is now the time? Like, is this really the time? I know it sounds nitpicky, and it probably sounds more nitpicky because I'm trying to explain that I appreciate the speech, just not the time and place for the speech. But in an otherwise extraordinary scene, I just didn't like that element. Like, it did not land for me at all. Outside of that, though, the conclusion to this entire scene, the reveal of what Eren being the control actually means, which is he can control the Titans through will. He is mad at that Titan, justifiably so, for continuing to kill people he cares about, and so he just sends all the Titans on them. It's not even something that he has to learn how to do. It's not something that he has to understand in the slightest. It's just his desires. It's just, I'm mad at you, I'm furious, I want harm to come upon you, and then the Titans turn and they attack. So yeah, that's a pretty incredible power. And I gotta say, I can understand why the people on the opposing side of this war would want a weapon as strong as the control of the Titans. I can't say if I like this reveal or not until I see what the series is going to do with it. So right now, I'm just withholding all judgment, and I'm just gonna wait and see how it goes. But it certainly is a twist, and I'm very curious to see how Aaron is going to use, especially because I think I mentioned this in the last video, in the last vlog, but my friend and I, who my friend is also reading this alongside of me, we both are pretty sure it seems to us like Aaron is on his way to a undoing, to an unraveling. Like he doesn't seem to be doing so well processing all the trauma. So him being able to control all Titans doesn't seem like it doesn't seem great, but we'll just have to see. Let me grab my phone so I can give you some of my predictions for the next season. Hold on. Okay, I was hanging out with my patrons after I finished the final episodes, and they asked me for some predictions, so I gave some, and thankfully Blue Majin wrote them down for me, so I'm gonna read them to you. These were my initial predictions after completing the final episodes. First of all, I think Aaron is going to conquer, or at the very least understand better, his Titan skills. Up to this point, he's had a hard time transforming when he really super needs it, and I reckon it's possible that he'll get a better handle on them coming here soon. I think that we're about to see Annie and Bertolt's and Reiner's hometown. I forgot to mention this, but the manga, the volume ended with Ymir, oh, so sweet, Ymir patting Krista on the head, leaving her to go back to the cadets, and then once again not living for herself, but instead sacrificing for everyone else, not turning Krista in, but instead turning herself in for Reiner and Bertolt, so that even though they don't have Aaron, and even though they don't have Krista, they at least have someone to turn in. And it's gonna be her. Oh, by the way, oh golly gee, hold on, I actually really need to address that. Not only did she say all that, which was cool, and just like really reflects a lot about Ymir, I think, that she surrendered herself to be turned in for their sakes, but then she said this really strange thing. It's fine, being a goddess doesn't feel so bad either, as she reaches toward the moon. I'm sorry, what do you mean? How are you gonna end a volume on the most abstract thing you have ever said? I have no theories on that. Being a goddess doesn't seem so bad either. Why is you being turned in to potentially be killed or captured and, I don't know, isolated? Why would that, what does that have to do with the moon? Why would that make you a goddess? Anyway, I think we're going back to the hometown, especially if we're going to continue to follow Reiner and Bertolt as part of the story. If we're going to continue to check in with them, they're going back there. And I don't know, maybe Armin is going to lead a charge to go there too, and to address whatever's going on there. Speaking of Armin, I think that he's going to be elevated in the military command to be a strategist. I think that that's a very clear path. From the very beginning, he's been well established as someone who isn't as fast and strong, and you know, he's not a fighter, and he is naturally a strategist, a planner, a thinker, and I think that he's going to get elevated, get taken off the front lines, and put a map in front of him or something. I think we are going to get to the basement potentially. The reason I think it's going to happen in season 3 and not season 4 is because whatever is in the basement, I think it's going to be a big enough reveal that it's going to change a lot of things, and I think that we're going to need some time for fallout. Whatever it is that's in the basement, I don't think it's going to be like a reveal and then a few episodes or a couple of volumes to resolve. I think that we're going to need a lot of time to it's going to alter some things. I could be wrong, but it just seems like it's being built up as if whatever Dr. Yeager has hidden down there is going to need some time. So maybe middle or end of season 3. Oh, and then my last thing, which is very vague, was just that I think that in season 3 we might go ahead and get the reveal behind the Wallace and Krista and why they're keeping this secret and all that kind of stuff. And the reason I think that is because I honestly thought we would get the answers this season. I was pretty surprised that that whole thing was introduced and built up a little bit, and then like nothing nothing resolved about it whatsoever. I don't have any answers. So I would be surprised if we continue to just let that linger for a whole nother season. So I reckon, it's just a guess, I reckon that might be resolved or at least revealed next season. I know they're not super exciting. They're not super exciting predictions, but it's what I have. So I know commenting is probably tricky because like you can't respond to any of my theories or thoughts unless I just objectively have misunderstood something like what I talked about at the beginning of this vlog. But other than that, what can you say to me? But please do let me know if you're still enjoying these vlogs. Please do let me know if there's anything that I can be doing to be, better or worse for your experience for the next season. And I will see you very soon because I'm starting season 3 today. Bye.